Welcome back to another episode of The Stars Above. We're here filming in a very special location. I'm exceptionally excited about this location. Thanks for coming back. This is a secret spot. There's only two ways to get here. One is from a tall ladder. You need a tall ladder to get here. Or the other is you need to know how to rock climb. I don't have a tall ladder, and I don't have the knowledge on how to be a rock climber. I've seen Mission Impossible 1, where Tom Cruise rock climbs, and I think that I took a lot from that when attempting to get up here. I did a lot of studying of Mission Impossible 1 with Tom Cruise to learn how to rock climb prior to coming out here. You see, I'm not a limber guy, but I have long limbs, which makes it easy to grapple. I'm a grappler with these long hands and limbs. I can throw myself to tricky spots like that. But yeah, that's the only two ways to get to this secret location. If you don't know how to rock climb, just YouTube Mission Impossible 1 rock climbing scene featuring Tom Cruise, and I think you'll pretty much get it down. Unless you don't have long limbs and or are a limber guy or gal, then you might be fucked. Either way, I'm not going to reveal how to get to this secret location because it's a little dangerous and I don't want anyone hurting themselves. I almost slipped, and if I had slipped, I would have certainly plummeted to my romantic clown demise, and that wouldn't have been good for anyone because I'm here to share a story, and considering I'm filming it all over the course of 30 days or so, if I were to fall to my romantic clown demise now, there would be nothing to upload because nobody has the secret code to my phone, so they wouldn't know how to access my recordings. Because I'm a very secretive guy, that's why I'm staying vague about this location. It's a secret. And I suppose that brings me to today's sponsor, being vague. Today's sponsor is being vague because this chapter is kind of vague. Icarus really leaves things up to the imagination. I think that's important in storytelling. Some things don't need to be said. It's up for depiction, However one perceives what is taking place, that kind of attributes to the magic of a story, So yeah, the chapter's vague, and so therefore today's sponsor is being vague. I feel like I don't really need to get into anything else in regards to that, because if I were to further divulge, it would no longer be as vague. So I just want to stay as vague as possible and not talk anymore. Also, shout out to umbrella hats. This is an umbrella hat. I forgot I had it until today. It would have been really useful over the past 2 weeks when my face was being turned into a sun-dried tomato. Because now I can do anything I want and the sun can't touch me. That's why I think it's so much better than a regular umbrella. Regular umbrellas, you have to hold them. And, for example, if I were to try and read a chapter while holding an umbrella, the wind comes, I'm holding an umbrella, I can't stop the pages from turning. All of a sudden, the story is in shambles. Nobody knows what's going on. The pages are turning. I'm accidentally reading from a chapter 7 days ago. Nothing makes sense anymore. The story's already hard enough, to make sense of, and it just wouldn't be good. But because of the invention of the umbrella hat, I no longer have to worry about holding up an umbrella. I can just freely read. I can do gesturing, I can do little dances, I can do the side kick. There's a lot of things that I can do that I wouldn't have been able to do prior to the invention of the umbrella hat. I think obviously whoever invented this was probably also a desert dweller, and he likely ran into the very same problem that I did trying to hold up an umbrella while telling a strange story. I think that's most likely what happened. If not, perhaps he was someone that enjoys pina coladas out on the beach, and he wanted one hand free for his pina colada, and he wanted his other hand free for doing God knows what. I can only imagine. Someone with the mind of inventing the umbrella hat whilst holding a glass of pina colada probably is up to no good with this free hand. I cannot imagine in any scenario that this hand wasn't being mischievous or deceiving, or, I don't even want to get into it because I can only imagine, and we don't need to go there. Also, last shout out is to Salad Fingers. Salad Fingers, you forgot your rusty spoon. Salad Fingers, you forgot your rusty spoon. I'm just going to leave it here for you. I can only imagine what drugs were cooked up on that rusty spoon. I probably shouldn't have touched it. I may get tetanus and or something else. It's neither here nor there, but Salad Fingers, you fucking drug addict, please come back and gather your rusty spoon. You shouldn't be out here being a litter bug. All right. Chapter 25. Awake from your slumber, my dearest friend. How long had I been asleep? I wondered as light poured through the blinds. What was in the air of that old studio, leaving me to feel so different? While having only ended my relationship with alcohol 8 hours prior, I'd felt baptized in ancient elixirs of rejuvenation. A new path illuminated, and the delicate petals of my heart began to bloom like a summer lily. No longer a disillusioned man bound by chain, but one who dreamt of a stream which carried me far beyond myself. There were no wounds too deep, nor burdens too great. Where despair possessed my fractured mind, I'd combust into stardust and be born anew, fearless, weightless, doubtless. In thought I'd roam, giving recognition to the excruciating trials of my life, while embracing the lessons where pain held purpose and meaning was obtained through struggle. Having spent an eternity searching for answers to the great riddles of my past, a humbling clarity now began to unravel. In the face of great adversity, I'd come to truly remember just who and why I was. I called Thea right away. Celine told me what happened at the airport, I said. Please know that I'm here for you in any way possible. I love you, babes. Thank you so much, Icarus, she replied. I'm shocked and quite beside myself. Rob was going to have to make a choice to either show me love or be stuck with me. Clearly, the latter was more realistic. I'll be back in a week and need to move my things to Colorado. I can't live with someone who made me feel like he'd care more about me if I was dead. I don't know what to do. It's so hard, but it means the world to have both you and Celine in my life. It'll be easier to talk about this in person. In the meantime, you can stay with me, and I'll cover whatever I can to make this quick and easy. I don't want you to deal with any more stress than you're already having to. Whatever's needed, we'll make it happen. I can't say how much it means to me to know that I do have a few people who really care. I'm just so worried about leaving our little bird. You're my family and nothing will change that. I know how hard it'll be considering who you've become to Celine, how hard it'll be for the both of you. But I'll make good goddamn sure you two are together again. I'm not going anywhere, promise you that, and I'll never let anything happen to her in your absence. I know. I miss you both so much already it breaks my heart. I'll be back soon. Everything to follow couldn't have been more synchronistic. I knew that Andrew, Rob and Thea's friend who lived next door, had a roommate moving out. I'd be of more help to them if there. So, before Thea got back to Reno, I ended my lease, moved into Andrew's, and found a new job at an adorable cafe in downtown called Daughters. Andrew and I had become close by then, being like-minded writers of a heavy heart. He was complicated and withheld, having expressed his emotions through poem. He viewed writing as a meticulously calculated equation, whereas I tend to vomit gibberish onto a page. He drank viciously, whereas I'd just ended that affair. And he enjoyed blaring music into the late hours, whereas I fancied the whispers of solitude. Our dynamic was wonderfully dysfunctional. Upon Thea's return, I got a better idea of her struggles with Rob. "These issues have been ongoing," she said. "He just doesn't understand me. I thought he did at first, but I feel like it was all just an act to get close." "What do you want him to understand?" I asked. "How I feel, but he won't listen. The pain of my past is great, pain he doesn't know. I'm having trouble dealing with myself, and instead of love and support, I get a cold shoulder. He wants to make love instead of share love, and it hurts so damn much. We try talking, but something always scares him, something he can't face, running like a child afraid of the dark. It's like anything below the surface is terrifying and inconceivable for him to acknowledge. He's been hiding bottles of whiskey in his van and can only lend a deaf ear when he's drunk. It's like speaking to a brick wall. I just want him to see me, for me. It's all I've ever wanted." It hurt to hear, for I could see myself in Rob's reflection. I couldn't help but wonder. Had I been hurting Celine in similar ways? "I've neglected myself for too long," I said, and recognize that now. It's funny, really. In times strong, I've helped countless people in this very place, only to wind up in their shoes. I can help Rob to see, and if he can face his fear, it may open his eyes to you. "At this point, I'm willing to try anything," she replied. "It'll only work if he's ready to put in real effort. So, talk to him, and if he truly desires salvaging this relationship, then we'll begin." Rob was open to the idea and welcomed the opportunity. Thea would propose it to Celine as well, in hopes that she'd come to better understand herself. "Bird's unsure of it all," Thea said. "She doesn't like the idea of being vulnerable around you. If she were to join us, she wants to have a talk with you beforehand." "About what?" I asked. "She wants you to know that she's never going to feel the way you do for her. She's been asking if she should burn everything you've given her to cut ties, as if needing my permission. You know how she is, so stubborn and uncertain all the time, terrified of her feelings for you." "Why are you telling me this?" "Well, how does it make you feel?" "She's a funny bird, huh?" I laughed. "It's good she's so stubborn. It'll bring more relief once finally letting up. It doesn't make me feel good, but it doesn't change how I feel about her. If having that talk and burning my things brings her peace, then she has my support." "Good. You're getting stronger, Icarus, starting to remember. I'm not saying this to hurt you, but so that I know you can handle what's coming, and that your love can bear it. I need to know that you're ready for the fight ahead. It's going to be a very long and painful one." "If I know anything, it's pain, dearest. Don't you worry about me." I don't think she'll do either of those things, to be honest, but speaking about them helps her to process. When I do show support in those decisions while egging her on to burn away, she winces in hesitation. "Our little bird loves you, babe. So much it scares her." The girls spoke on it further in the coming days. I don't know what was said, but Celine would accept the idea, without needing to first rip me a new one or burn all my wondrous treasures. It was October 28th, the day before we'd all gather, when I'd bring it up to her myself. "I want you to be sure, Bird," I said. "You don't have to do this if you don't want to." "That just makes me even more nervous," she said, laughing. "But I do." "Good, and don't be. You've got this. I'm just making sure is all. You seem hesitant." "It has nothing to do with that. Today's always a hard one for me. My mom died on the 28th, and every month when this day arrives to remind me, I just feel so alone." I felt the same, having picked flowers for my mother each month on the 25th. So, that night I got flowers for hers, Kimmy Lee, in hopes that Celine wouldn't feel so alone, nor her mother so forgotten. It was something I'd continue doing every month after that day. To have executed a proper recount of the following event while revisiting a past of gruesome lessons which led me to present the idea to them took a great deal of context. To bring the detail needed into light took over a year for me to write, an achievement found overshadowed by inadequacy. That document is roughly 100,000 words. While wished otherwise, it didn't seem to fit appropriately within this chapter. So, this retelling will be vague, leaving the interpretation of what transpired up to the imagination. I'll call our gatherings group therapy, a surrender to self-awareness and vulnerable confrontation to deep states of repressed emotion. Going about this for Rob, Thea, and Celine was uncharted territory, having arrived with an open mind and willing heart. Everyone took a seat on pillows across the floor as the curtains were drawn, candles flickered, and smoke filled the air. I was burning sage, cedar, and lavender within Thea's clay smudge pot, handmade by her sister. There was a profound silence amidst, as if only hearing thumps of each apprehensive heart, anxious for a thrill. "I need strands of hair to add to the pot," I said. "One from each of you." "But Rob is bald," Thea said. "And that is why," I replied, looking to Celine with reverence, as if having found the slow-burning hillside in each other's eyes. "I'm going to have my little helper here, Bird, fetch me one of his pubes!" "Irk!" Celine yelled, slapping me across the chest. "Just kidding. Apologies. I've flair for the dramatic." "So, what should I do with this then?" Rob asked, holding out a curly strand of hair. "Eat it!" Celine yelled, laughing. "God damn!" Thea said. "Keep it in your pants, Robbie." "Okay, be serious," I said. "The waters of man are murky. Clear your mind of thought so peace may settle, and free your heart of resent so love may enter. To cling is hindering. Choose to dwell and become stagnant, or accept and all shall pass. Temper expectations or the experience will be ensnared. Rid desire, pay attention, and simply remain aware." I knew how far Celine and Thea were willing to go to meet themselves. So, while I may have been addressing the group, I spoke directly to Rob. After all, if unable to get through to him, if unable to get through to himself, we'd lose Thea in the process. The difficulty in this was not of his own fault. He'd simply never been subjected to the harsh cruelties of the world, and innocence left him naive to the complexity of his own inexperience. There were no ties to fear or pain. He hadn't mourned loss or grieved tragedy, being senseless to suffering. But what truly kept him from seeing Thea lie in the illusion that it was necessary to have lived through, felt, and understood those trials of misery before being capable of empathizing with her. "Tell me, Rob," I said, "what does your heart want?" "I want to understand Thea's pain," he replied, "so I can learn to see her. But to you, her pain represents a preconceived notion of which you've no point of reference, nor context to grasp. It's not in understanding Thea's pain that you'll come to see her, but in not separating yourself from it, and in turn, from her. Understand?" Yes. "Okay, but show, don't tell. You know that when I blow out this candle, the room becomes dark. When lit, it's bright. As I speak, you distinguish my words, and when I take your hand, you observe sensation. But the result of my actions are only reflections of your perception. Dive into that. If you can look, see. If you can hear, listen. If you can feel, become. Perhaps you unconsciously discover your existence, or consciously stumble upon your own non-existence. Either way, don't detach from the experience. Remain aware, and be one with it." "But how can I show her?" "Reflection. You'll never see Thea if you're too afraid to see yourself. If you can only tell Thea that you see her, then borrowed words are being spoken. This must be something you feel, something of which she sees reflected in you. You view this misinterpretation of pain and fear as what's causing your division. Stop separating from it and simply embrace her." "I want to feel as you feel," he said, taking Thea's hand. "Again, Rob, if you arrive at some profound realization, which you often proclaim, don't fixate on it. Humor it as if a grandiose mistake. Instead, simply ask yourself who has realized it, and allow that part of you to come forth naturally. Seeking apprehensively without the courage to confront will produce painful results. Pain, mind you, which won't belong to Thea. If failing to face your fear in this way, you won't learn. And if you aren't willing to learn, you won't see. It isn't suffering that'll find you reaching common ground, but the liberation of awareness. Rob saw himself as the light to Thea's darkness, and vice versa for her. Each withdrew from the other in trepidation of intrusion, having caused a relationship of separated individuals afraid to overstep imaginary boundaries. This being opposite to how I viewed my relationship with Celine, as both the shadow cast and candle burning, a union of which one cannot exist without the other. Duality is beautiful, but only represents different degrees of the same polarity. Just as we practice understanding duality, so must we recognize non-dualism, the absence of fundamental duality, by utilizing our awareness, observer and observed, as oneness. Going forward is now up to each of you, I said. While the door is revealed, you must walk through it and pull that rug out from beneath yourselves. If our minds are in fact a prison, locked within the constructs of conditioning, only we hold the key to freedom. One we must work tirelessly within our souls to turn and release those shackles we've grown to willfully tighten. This is a road less traveled, but at least now you'll know the way. So, let's begin. There are some words which cannot be written, for they remain within one's heart and are interpreted solely by love. To preserve what is sacred, kept precious and bound only to us, I will not be going into detail of their experiences. What I will say is that with impeccable courage and minds vanquished of doubt, both Thea and Celine dove to unbeknownst depths, while unearthing truths of salvation and redemptive love. Having spent a lifetime searching for answers in the ancients, longing for resolve in the hellish nightmare which plagued an insufferable existence, Thea discovered purpose. Having felt abandoned, lost, and forever alone, roaming a world of painful solitude, Celine surrendered to forgiveness. Thea and Celine found what they needed most, not by looking for it, but by having challenged their fear to face it. But in being bound by that fear, Rob found only resistance. At the catch of 3 coins, in tears Thea had woken, words unspoken. At the ring of 3 bells, in tears Celine had woken, words unspoken. In a fit of forced conclusion, dry as a whistle Rob had woken, borrowed words spoken. He said, I see now, it's beautiful. I see you, Thea. Not quite, I said, but we can try again tomorrow, and again, until we exhaust the effort. But if you don't come to surrender, this won't work. I'll keep trying. I want to keep trying for Thea. I know it's hard, and I'm sorry to say, it's often that the closer we feel to accomplishing goals for external reasons, the further we become. Don't think about Thea. Work on you, Rob. We'd continue trying, but he never allowed himself to cross over that threshold, and we'd end every night over a cigarette on the balcony while sharing the same conversation. What are we doing here, Rob? I'd ask. What are you trying to get out of this? I want to better understand Thea, he'd reply. You keep saying that, but in putting all your effort towards trying to understand her, you're failing to understand yourself. The more you look to Thea, the less of her you'll see. But I feel like I do understand myself. What am I missing? Look there, Rob, I said one night, pointing at the window. What do you see? I see Thea and Celine inside talking, smiling and laughing. You're describing what you're looking at. What is it that you see? I see Thea, a dark and beautiful soul full of life. You're still describing what you're looking at, I said, moving closer to the window. You're trying too hard to look beyond what it is you see. And because of that, you can't see what's right in front of you. There could be a goddamn elephant here and you'd miss it. I don't understand. There's nothing else in front of me. Roberto, I laughed, now placing a finger directly on the window. By focusing so intently on Thea, you're blind to the reflection before her, failing to see this, you, right before your eyes. Wise words, brother. Wise or not, words are but bland, primitive tools of expression, meaningless, even my own, if you don't feel them within yourself. Do you know what I'm looking at through this window? A mother and her daughter warm in each other's company, one of whom is a huge dork, flapping her wings upon a cliff face where she'll jump and nosedive right into the damn dirt, just to get up and try again until learning to fly. That's what I'm looking at, but not what I see. In seeing through my reflection, just beyond it, I find my teacher, that silly bird there. She who speaks without words, for the wisest know they're unneeded. In seeing myself, Celine has proven there's no void that will ever need filling within me. She's reminded me of what I've always known, yet happen to forget along the way. And it's only now that I'm able to see, that I'm able to love. I can't tell or teach you how to feel, nor show you how to see. These are truths you must come to possess by breaking the barriers separating you from yourself. I understand, he said, each word dragging the next. This is real fucking shit, Rob, so listen. Thea will leave, and you'll feel to have lost her. It'll hurt for a while, but you'll find someone else to distract you, someone you believe you'll see. You won't, and these same problems will arise again until you do the work needed on yourself. Are you afraid of losing Celine? What if she never loves you like you love her? It'll never matter if she does or not, because my love for her is unconditional. Just as I'm not afraid of any outcome, because I'm not afraid of myself. Without ever knowing it, Celine has already done worlds and more for me. She's helped correct my path, clear my vision, and define my purpose, one much greater than I'd have ever known without her. And what if you were to never see her again? I'm not worried about that. I'll go to the grave with her in my heart regardless. Don't you want to share happiness with someone? I'll share my happiness with any and all. But what you're referring to, that word so very carelessly tossed about these days, that love I hold for her. Andrew had once overheard me saying something similar before chiming in. I was hung up like that too, he said, laughing. Watch, you'll end up just like me, sad and alone. It's very noble of you, but that conviction will be your downfall. Whew, well, I'd never been more insulted in my life. I know the judgment a man in ruins is willing to selflessly project. However, no one of flesh and blood can judge the scale of another's heart. I carry that remark as fuel, and when faced with moments weak, it's burnt for strength. Rob was unable to understand, for he was unable to let go, having been ensnared by an illusion of separate worlds, longing for one while unknowingly despising the other. He spent so much time trying to convince Thea that he saw her, that he never stepped back to ask what it was he saw in himself. He's since come a long way, and to this very day is encouraged with the same advice always given. Find out who you are, Rob. Work to see him, and you'll find her. Thea and Celine discovered what they had because they both carry the will of a warrior yearning for peace. In foregoing desire while being unrestrained by fear or doubt, they dove headfirst within themselves for no other reason than simply being unable to do otherwise. Truth was their only choice. So, truth they found. Whoop-de-doo, that was a fun one. I literally do not think I could have done any of that without my umbrella hat. That is the sole reason that I was able to be so fluid in my motions. I was doing spins, I was doing jigs, maybe not. I was doing jigs in my head. I wanted to play that out, but I was so focused on reading, and I've actually become really good at reading and walking. I spent 6 months of last year in Washington State, and there was a 6-mile long park, beautiful park, that had marshes and forests and trees and such, but I practice every day reading while walking. And I'm fucking spectacular at it now, I must add. I still have problems reading out loud because that's my brain. That's not me not being able to do it. That's my brain. Also, I have astigmatism, so sometimes words become jumble jam. And also the Crayola-Crayon thing, that is an attributing factor. Also, mental disabilities, which I will not go into, but I don't care. I'm not letting them hold me back. I'm here to read a beautiful story I am not here to dwell on things I am unable to change. So, thank you so much for joining me. I think that was the most fun I had reading a chapter. Maybe I should do more in this, on this dance floor, on this disco floor. I should get a disco ball. Maybe that'll be one of the sponsors. There's nowhere to really hang it from. I would have to literally rock climb further up, attach a pole into the tufa, and then dangle the disco ball like a fishing rod. And to be quite honest, I'm not that good of a rock climber. I do not want to try that. It was dangerous enough getting up here. But like I said, Mission Impossible, Tom Cruise, shout out Tom Cruise. Thank you. Thank you, Tom Cruise, for showing me how to rock climb. I studied that for quite a while before, probably studied Mission Impossible more than any other movie before coming out here. For two reasons: rock climbing and secrecy. Rock climbing but actually secrecy is being vague. Rock climbing and being vague are two of the most important aspects of being a sleeper cell agent, or a spy, or what be it. Neither here nor there. I just want to thank everyone so much for joining me today on this beautiful chapter of The Stars Above. Please come on back next time. I probably won't be here. I'll be elsewhere, but we'll still make it fun. Yeah. Thank you so much.